Me a bad body. So, it's another one, yeah. It's a full run, yeah. Oh, it's another one, yeah.
All right, Tuesday night. Kenny Ken, happy to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Yeah,
I've come back.
It's been fantastic.
I've seen that you've had a brutal 12-round war last night with the normally lovely Lady Chan, but you made the mistake
I enjoyed
of
every minute.
having jabs against her boy AJ, who's incidentally my boy as well. But yeah, I ain't in love with the way lady is.
You know, it's right. I think we've all gone through that sort of AJ stage where we've been in danger of looking at AJ and like I said, looking at him and looking at his fights and looking at a change. There's definitely a change in Anthony Joshua, the way he wants to do things. Whether we like it or not, the Ruiz fight did have an effect. It was a fight that he clearly wasn't prepared for. He clearly, when he put him down in the third round with the left hook, he clearly assumed that was going to be the start of something big in the US in terms of getting the 258 brand out there. But he got careless. He got tagged. The fact is that Luis took the fight at short notice, and a fight of AJ's caliber was caught short. Shouldn't really be caught short. Luis is a good fighter, but AJ in essence, shouldn't be losing. But it's a good thing AJ, won it. What I thought was a very good boxing performance. A lot of people thought, oh, it was boring. He fenced off. No, I liked it. I liked the fact that he used his reach, he used his speed and underfoot, and he made sure that Ruiz didn't have a target to hit. And when he did come in, he used his physical strength to maul him. And so that, for me, was good performance. But in terms of the AJ since then, statistically, all of AJ's fights have been 12 rounds, with the exception of Pulev. Obviously, he's fighting a class fighter in Usyk, but people thought he got his tactics wrong. I don't think he did, because what AJ didn't do is that, like I said, he didn't adjust to Usyk. He got taken by surprise by Usyk in the first fight when Usyk did what I thought he would do and what he should have done, which is take the belt of the champion. And the only way you take the belt of a champion as big as AJ is to meet him at the centre of the ring and let your hands go, and then come in and out and let your boxing skills go. He was a perfect tactician. Second fight, AJ did really well, but Usyk knew what was coming, because he knew what was coming. So, but Franklin, whatever people say, it was a fencing situation where AJ was trying to learn the new things he learned from his new trainer. That's just facts.
We'll come on to AJ, because, as you know, there's some huge news announced tonight or earlier this afternoon, which is going to overshadow a lot of things, for good or worse. Just want to read Thunder Road. Welcome. Where are the two Congo brothers? Trey and BNG, they need a night off as well, They're going hard twice a week.
I haven't seen Thunder Road for a long, long time,
So sorry, me and Ken will try and keep you amused tonight. But as our host, Boxing Hub, says, they'll be back.
I think Thunder Road. I think Thunder Road is a guy from Belfast. He's a Spurs fan from Belfast, and we had a bit of a, how to say it, verbal sparring before North London Derby about 7 years ago, and I think his name is either Kevin. I think it's Kevin Bishop or Kevin, but he's definitely Northern Ireland. He's from Belfast in Northern Ireland, and he's a Spurs fan. The reason why I know he's from Belfast in Northern Ireland, because the only person who calls me Solomon is Kevin. So, Kevin, good to see you again, old boy. Still haven't seen you at a match.
Thunder Road? Can you confirm whether you're Kevin from Belfast?
I'm convinced it's Kevin from Belfast, because he's the only one who calls me Solomon.
And if you are, and you're a Tottenham fan, welcome, bro. I need some support over here. I'm surrounded by.
He's definitely because the reason why, because I think do you remember the North London Derby that 12 o'clock kickoff, 45 kickoff, when Kane scored that great goal, it was 2-2, and Sanchez equalised.
Yeah.
He, the guy who actually was a Spurs fan, and then he got himself in a bit of a kerfuffle, and he basically bit off more than he can chew with the Metropolitan Police, where they battened his head off. Hence the fact he's got blood down his what I call his helmet. So that it's got to be Kevin. It's got to be Kevin. I'm sure his name's Kevin Bishop or Windsor or whatever he calls himself. He's definitely from Belfast, because he's the only person who called me Solomon is him.
He's not confirming either way. Bukayo Saka, welcome as usual. North London is red. He must have felt in the ether that a fellow Gooner was coming under attack, and Bukayo interrupted what he was doing to join us. So welcome, Bukayo. So Kenny, this secret, or the best known secret for the past few months or weeks, Fury fighting Ngannou, and it's not an exhibition. It's apparently a serious boxing match. We don't know over how many rounds yet. Can't possibly be for the WBC title, so I guess it's just a non-title fight. I mean, where does this leave Fury standing in the heavyweight division? How does it hit his reputation?
Well, Tyson Fury's reputation with boxing fans in this country is all-time low. Yeah, because he acquired a lot of new fans who 2 years ago I didn't even know they could even spell boxing, let alone show an interest in boxing. Obviously they had the odd interest in AJ, but I think Fury, if you look at Tyson Fury, for a lot of people, he represents hope and opportunity to feel, you know what, it isn't the heavyweight champion or the fastest man in the world or the strongest man doesn't have to be someone who comes from a certain background. It's, the Klitschko's first, and the Tyson Fury showed that those sort of fighters, that someone like Tyson Fury, for where he is, can win the heavyweight title. So he acquired a lot of fans, especially in this country. Loads of new fans. I thought, whoa, bloody hell. Finally, someone other than the usual types can win these fights. And I think with Tyson Fury, they think Tyson Fury will basically beat everyone on sight. He'll beat Usyk, he'll beat Wilder again, he'll beat Joshua. Tyson Fury's unbeatable. And they're looking forward to Tyson Fury proving them right. And what Tyson Fury's done is that he's basically thought, well, you know what? I don't fight for these fans. I fight for myself. And that's exactly what I've done. Now, Frank Warren would say that Tyson Fury, the reason Tyson Fury doesn't want to go to the, Saudi Arabia, he offered AJ a fight in was it September last year, or just after a month after he lost to Usyk, for a fight to happen in maybe, was it December of last year. AJ they wouldn't accept it. He said he wanted too much money, so he said, "Well, they waste my time." And then he wanted to fight Usyk of April this year. Weren't able to negotiate. So as far as he's concerned, he didn't walk away from both fights. They wouldn't come to the negotiating table. They wouldn't meet his terms. They didn't want to fight. I gave them 2 dates. I gave them 2 deadlines. They didn't meet it. So to hell with them. I'm now going to fight someone who wants to fight, and I'm going to do exhibitions and do what I like, because he doesn't want to wait for a tournament in Saudi Arabia, because, Frank Warren has sort of rationalised and said, well, why should Tyson Fury wait till December? Now we're hearing now that the tournament's now been moved back to January or February 2024. So, he's rationalised or summarised that Tyson Fury needs to fight on a more sort of regularly timescale for that. So that's Tyson Fury's excuse. But the problem is the British public are not buying it, because as far as they're concerned, the British public are going to look at how Tyson Fury negotiated with AJ at first in terms of the little split. He offered AJ 60-40, knowing full well he couldn't offer him 70-30, because AJ brings more to the table in terms of advertisers. For every 10 advertisers or sponsor AJ sort of Fury has. AJ's got 100. 10 times the sponsors, 10 times the revenue, 10 times the people who are going to be involved in AJ. So whether Tyson Fury may have the belts, but in terms of like marketability, Tyson Fury's nowhere near AJ. So Tyson Fury's off of 60-40. Now with Usyk, there isn't that kind of marketability which AJ brings to the table. So he thought he could get away with 70-30. But again, it's the deadlines. So the British public know negotiations, and as for whether Fury wants or one wants to say that both fighters walked away, didn't meet the deadline, the British public are not buying that. They want to see Tyson Fury not only defend his titles, they want to see him clean out the division. They want him to fight top 10 fighters, and the only hope they ever had was the tournament, which was like basically boxing's version of the like the Super Series, which we had with the cruiserweights and the super middleweights. The public want that. Unfortunately for the public, Tyson Fury's not playing along. Tyson Fury fights Tyson Fury now. He doesn't love boxing as much as he says he does. He's fallen out of the game. He doesn't want to do the PR. I think Tyson Fury wants to probably fulfill any contract he has with Frank Warren and and any other like promoters, and then get the hell out of here and do what he says he wants to do, which is deal with people with mental health issues, or be the next Kim Kardashian. I think that's what he really wants to
do. Do you think that at some level Fury don't fancy it anymore? And this ain't saying he's afraid of anyone.
No, I think he's fallen in love with boxing. The fact is he's fallen in love with the boxing. The business side of it annoys him. Clearly annoys him. He doesn't particularly want to fight outside Britain. The only place he really wants to fight outside Britain is the United States. But he's disillusioned. You can imagine his disillusion. His manager, like Daniel Kinahan, has got a judge's order against him in the United States. He can't go to the United States because of the fact that he's associated with Daniel Kinahan, a manager he chose for himself. And then you've got a situation with his dad. This world can't go to the United States. He's had to put up with that. So he's thinking, I just can't deal with this no more. And these are issues that people won't take consideration, but the British public don't care. British boxing fans have invested a lot in Tyson Fury. Some of them are probably anti-Joshua fans, but they're bigger Tyson Fury fans now. All they want is for Tyson Fury to fight for the world title, then fight the best fighters within the division, be it up and coming or not. They're not getting that. And that's the thing. Whether we like it or not, you think about people like me and you, we're a sure thing. But the people who put money into boxers' pockets, or buy their houses or buy their cars, are the casuals. Tyson Fury and AJ have massive, massive casual support. Massive. It outweighs the support of the diehards. And right now, the casuals who have followed Tyson Fury and continue to follow him are not happy with Tyson.
No, absolutely. Bukayo Sako asked, is AJ the biggest fish in heavyweight boxing now? May not be the best, but is he the biggest? Well,
financially, yes. In terms of like marketability, 100% yes. His fight with Dillian Whyte is a fight that a lot of fighters have, I say it with as much humility as I can muster, have bastardized. Yet that fight is sold out. Yet that fight has been sold at pay-per-view, because both of them pay-per-view fighters previously, and for £26.99. You and I know, thanks to Tyson Fury's inactivity, British boxing fans need to see British fighters fight.
Yeah.
And they need to fight, and they need to see British fighters who are marketable. And whatever you think of both Dillian Whyte, whether people say Dillian Whyte is trash, he's washed up, he's still marketable. Whether you think Anthony Joshua was finished and he's not the same after he fought Ruiz or lost to him the first time, he's still marketable. that is going to sell out like a hotcake. Doesn't matter what Frank Warren says. Don't listen to what Frank Warren says. Frank Warren, and I say it respectfully because I've got a lot of respect for Frank. We all brought up on Frank Warren. Before Barry Owen, it was Frank. Before Frank, it was Jarvis Astaire and Mickey Duff. So we've all been brought up and other promoters. But the fact is that Frank's shows, with the exception of Tyson, do not sell out if Tyson Fury's not on the headlining.
Yeah.
It's proof in the pudding. So
Tony Ellis, what's he asking? If AJ and Fury both retire today, who had the better career and legacy as well as respect? That's a hard one, my opinion.
I think it's subjective because it depends what you want to say. But one thing is that AJ is a two-time heavyweight champion. He won Olympic gold. In terms of his fights, he fought more world heavyweight title fights than Tyson Fury.
Yeah,
which
double
means he's fought at the elite level more than Tyson Fury. Yet he's lost 3 fights, but he's lost fights to good fighters. I still think the Ruiz fight was unnecessary. He shouldn't lose to Ruiz, especially when the fight is only been there on a few weeks' notice. But he avenged that defeat. For me, AJ will go down as a great. And if he wins the title if he manages to somehow win the title for the 3rd time, he could be up there with Lennox Lewis. Because if you win the title 3 times, you are a great. Don't care what anyone says.
Yeah,
but
I would concur.
But in terms of Tyson Fury, he's an interesting one because Tyson Fury's worked his way up. Whether people like it or not, he's worked his way up. Everyone, at the time you used to see him fight McDermott. There were times when he was going to fight. He was going to fight domestic fight. It was the guy from Liverpool, David
Price.
Remember they fought in the amateurs. I think they fought in the amateurs. They were going to fight. That was his level for a long, long time. And then, he fought Derek Chisora beat him twice, and then he managed to elevate himself. And he was the underdog when he fought Klitschko, but he won, and he won comfortably. It doesn't matter how boring the fight was. It doesn't matter. Boxers there to win, not to entertain a crowd. And then he fought Deontay Wilder, who everyone thought was going to knock his head off. So the thing is that enough? Beating those two fighters enough for Tyson to be great? Because it's subjective as well. So if you're a Tyson Fury fan, you think, that's enough because of the fact that he was a massive underdog in both fights. But the problem is, in terms of if you want a glittering career, you can't have a glittering career on 2 fights. So if you want to go by boxing skills and boxing ability, by all means say Tyson Fury. But boxing ability can only be proved if you beat the best fighters around you. You can't just live on 2 fights. All right, he fought Dillian Whyte. A lot of people thought, it was an easy fight. Dillian's a trash. I don't believe that. I don't agree with it. Don't accept that. But Tyson Fury has to give his fans more. If he retires now, his fans are going to be wanting more. I'm going to think, what if? There are going to be some fans who are what I call casuals who are going to be just happy with those 2 wins against Wilder and Klitschko. But boxing people know more are the litmus test. They're the ones who, that in 40 years' time, they're going to look back at these fights and they're going to say who are the greatest fighters out there, greatest British champions. And I'm afraid Tyson Fury won't be in there. Now he would, but if you go back in the future, our grandchildren or our children, no, he won't, because their stats, people are going to think, well, who did he fight? Oh, yeah, fought McDermott. Yeah, fought Kanan. Yeah, fought who did he fight? Schwartz. That's it. You can't be a great on those fights. You got to have more in your arsenal than that. But AJ again lost 3 times. He isn't a natural boxer. For me, he's not. He's what the majority of boxers are, especially heavyweight division. They're athletes who've come into sport, who've got the natural attributes in terms of size and physique and power, but they're not natural boxers. AJ's not a natural boxer. Neither is Dillian. They've learned they come into the sport late, but their attributes will see them through because they're quick learners. But Dillian, I saw Tyson Fury. he is a natural boxer. He comes from a boxing pedigree. But, you know, if Tyson Fury retires now, I'm afraid, for me, a massive fan of Tyson Fury, massive fan, I'll be left wanting more. That's just the situation. But if you, you know, Bakay, you're right. He is a disgraced boxer. There's a lot of people in boxing not happy with Tyson. You speak to any of these fans, a lot of people are now saying that, you know, Tyson, they're ex-fans of Tyson Fury. You know, what Tyson Fury's doing is that he's not just losing fandom. He's putting the heavyweight title division on notice, and he's actually I don't think he cares, but you know, it's a situation where it's another nail in the coffin for the heavyweight title fight. Everyone says it's the division dying. The division isn't dying. The division is out there, but it only thrives when the best fighters fight each other. When like people hold the belts, fight for unifications. If, you know, top 10 fighters fight amongst themselves. You know what I mean? Then you know the fight's thriving. Maybe, you know, the Saudi tournament is exactly what we need. You know what I mean? It is what I think we need, because you know, it's a start. The Saudi Arabians got the money, but again, is it going to save boxing? I hope it does. I really hope it does. But you know, it's about time the best fight the best, and I hope Tyson Fury is involved in that. But again, yeah, there's another fight as well. Yeah, Wilder versus Ruiz. Again, they can't get to they can't get to negotiating table. That's the problem. You know what I mean? You know,
apologies for that, but hope you didn't miss me too long. Was that mine?
Right. It's just a few questions. Questions being asked about Wilder Ruiz. Would he put Ruiz to sleep with his power and his reach advantage? He should do. You know, people underestimate Deontay Wilder, and they seem to think that he needs leverage for his punches. That's not the case. He's got the speed of hand and foot, regardless of what you call his fundamentals, regardless of whether you think he's a natural boxer or not, to put his man to sleep if they come inside. People think, oh, sit on top of Wilder and you crash the room and you worry him. No. If you sit on top of him and you throw punches like Tyson Fury, then you have an effect. But if you sit on top of him and think you're going to use his size, you only have to, because he's got quick feet, quick hands, and he's quick naturally. He doesn't need much leverage for those punches to generate that power. So
it showed against Hellenius, that right hand was very short, wasn't it?
You know, the problem is that, you know, the genie's out the bottle when it comes to Wilder, because he lost. What I've always said with Dillian Whyte and Wilder, I've never been able to rationalise people's thoughts about Wilder, because Wilder's got no fundamentals. He's a washed-up champion. You know, his resume's rubbish. But that was only after he lost to Tyson Fury, who people in boxing circles, especially the casuals, think is the best thing since sliced bread, and that he's unbeatable. Dillian Whyte, the same sort of thing. He's lost to Tyson Fury. All right, they want to talk about the fight against, Povetkin, but during that fight, he was battering Povetkin. He got careless. People just think the Povetkin in that first fight smashed the granny out of him. He didn't. Dillian Whyte made a mistake. Povetkin saw an opportunity to win a fight he was getting battered in. He went down twice. No one wants to know that. And then in regards to where he fought with COVID, you know, 90% of fighters go with injuries and illness, but they fight because they have to get paid. He lost, but people don't want to know that. Dillian Whyte is trash. He's washed up because he lost against Tyson Fury, who everyone has as the Ring magazine, the linear belt champion. He's a great fighter. So it seems like if you lose to Tyson Fury, rather than it being no disgrace to lose to Tyson Fury, you crap. I don't get that.
Yeah.
Someone that can help me out there. It doesn't make sense to me.
It don't make sense. I just want to get your views on just go back for a sec. Sorry, because I got cut off. Did you watch Frank Warren's interview with
Andy Townsend? Yeah, you mean the one with Andy Townsend and Goldstein? Yes, I watched it.
He revealed something interesting. Apparently, this fight with an alternative faction in Saudi Arabia is putting this fight on. It's not skill set challenge.
It's not the same people.
So, yeah. So what's going on there? There's some sort of rivalry, power struggle, different factions in Saudi Arabia.
100% there will be. 100% there will be, because people just assume that there's one. It's the same. It's the same with football. You know, if you have to look at other sports. You know, I know there's not many cricket fans here, but let's not forget, when people think about cricket and the money that's in generating cricket, they look at India. They look at the IPL. But before the IPL, there was two bodies. There was the Indian Cricket League, the ICL, which was with capital death, but that wasn't recognised by the ICC, so it was outlawed, and fighters who played in it got banned.
Interesting.
So if you look at that in cricket, you've seen it with other sports. You've seen other Saudi Arabian teams, getting footballers. So if you've got a country which is oil rich, where they have unlimited cash supplies, you're not just going to get one person having the field to himself. They're going to go elsewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that it says a lot that the only people that were going to put this fight on, whether you call it monstrosity or not, would be the Arabs. But the other guys are not going to want to know that, because they want Tyson Fury to fight Usyk in what they call their mini super series. They want AJ to fight Wilder, Tyson Fury to fight Usyk, the winner out of both fights to fight each other for the undisputed. So there's no way that these people are going to give Tyson Fury money for that rubbish.
That's what I was thinking. So I tell you, the politics of this sport, there's going to be things going on.
You know what it is? Promoters. The promoters. There's two promoters in this country with massive egos and want they do, and that's only in this country. You got the United States. You got PBC. You got Top Rank. You got DAZN. All wanting their share. All signing contracts with big fighters. Fighters not getting their own way and saying, "I'm going to retire because I'm not getting what I need." So I think that's the thing with boxing, is that, this country, we got Boxer, Sky, Hennessy, but we got Wasserman, Channel 5, we got Matchroom, DAZN, Queensbury, TNT Sports, BT Sport. You know what I mean? And these are different promoters. We got you got Hennessy, who work with anyone. 1 minute they're on Sky, then then they could be on TNT, and they could be on DAZN. So that's the thing. People will fight for a lot of exposure. The situation is that Sky are still trying to get back its kind of its portfolio, because Eddie's took all his fighters with him. Yet the fighters who can't get fights with Eddie go to Sky because they think that they know that they're going to get primetime TV because it's Sky. But the problem is, now that it's everyone for themselves, you'll get a primetime fight on Sky at the same time as you will get on the DAZN, and then BET will throw their hat in the ring. Look at it a month ago. So
free fights on one.
It's free for all. There used to be a situation where that never happened. I mean, Frank Warren. Do you remember 5 years ago where you had Dillian Whyte versus Depp Chisora, a non-title fight on Sky Box Office, and then you had on the same night on BT Box Office, Warrington versus Frampton.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
crazy. This fight, this freak show fight. I mean, as a fight, is it a complete mismatch? Is there any intrigue?
It's an exhibition match. Frank said it's boxing rules, But boxing rules, but because it was an exhibition match, I suppose there's no knockdown rule.
Dev Sani on Twitter, he's saying it's not an exhibition. So
right, so Tyson Fury's fighting in a fight where his title's not on the line
against a complete novice.
So if it can't. How can it not be an exhibition when you're fighting someone who's not was it Ngannou? Is he UFC, isn't he?
Yeah, he's UFC heavyweight champ, isn't he?
He's a UFC heavyweight champion who basically is like a ultimate fighter or maybe someone who does a bit of Krav Maga. You know what I mean? Krav Maga. And yet they say it's a proper boxing fight. Do me a favour. But then again, who am I to complain? Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor. That was a proper fight, wasn't it? Floyd Mayweather's titles weren't on the line, were they? So,
to be fair, Mayweather he wasn't actually a champion at the time. I think he'd retired and then come back.
Yeah, I suppose so. But in terms of that status, because it's Floyd Mayweather, because Conor McGregor is the best thing since sliced bread. What sold the fight was a lot of Floyd Mayweather haters saying that Conor McGregor, they actually believed that Conor McGregor will take out Floyd Mayweather with his straight left. And Floyd Mayweather, one of the best technicians we've ever seen in boxing, probably an all-time great, will get caught by it and knock him out. There's people to this day who actually said it. They weren't boxing fans, by the way, but that's it. That's because they all said that. But even some of them they just didn't like Floyd Mayweather. So maybe there's going to be someone who says that Tyson Fury is going to walk into a right hand. Really, I don't see it happening. But that was Frank's big announcement. Remember a month ago, Frank said there's a massive announcement incoming that's going to blow him away, and this is what he's come up with.
Well, yeah. I mean that. Looking at our colleagues online on Twitter, certainly from the hardcores, it's unanimously utterly disappointment, anger. But as you said, will the casuals who don't know much better, will they tune in and pay top dollar, and so the circus carries on?
Well, I don't know about that, but I think that if his brother's fighting KSI, which I believe he's doing, I think they'll get better numbers than this.
Kenny, don't give him ideas. That's coming. That's coming. The dual show.
I know we can't give him, but you got to understand what I've said many times, which people can't deny. These YouTubers know how to market themselves. They're young. The fact that they can put on a show on their channel and they could get the lowest views they'll get is 1.5 million pounds, 1 million viewers. It could be them just eating their dinner and people watch that. It could be them having a haircut. They know how to market themselves, and not only do they know how to market themselves, they know how to get sponsors to sponsor some of the stuff, where they're just doing the most mundane things. So it's not a surprise that in something like boxing, that they can get all their little fanboys or fangirls or whatever you want to call them to go and watch them fight or pay for pay-per-views. They would do it because they've already got that fan base out there. So it's little wonder that KSI and his fight with Tyson's brother is going to outsell this. This fight's probably more credible because they are both veterans. But that's how the market is now. Boxing's to the extent that boxing's got a new market which some of our fighters can't compete with because they didn't become boxers to have a personality. That's not WWF. But you're going to have a situation where boxers have to have a storyline, be like the WWF, and have a rivalry that we never knew existed. I think that's how boxers are going to survive and make their money if they become characters like The Rock, Chris Jericho, Triple H. with these YouTubers coming up and showing them how it's done, it's inevitable, isn't it?
Indeed. All right. Well, it's what we've got. Let's see how it plays out. A serious fight, as we were talking about, Joshua v. Whyte, and last night, as we were talking off camera, Lady Chan gave you hell for having the temerity.
Of course, and I expected that. I expected that, but the situation is the proof's in the pudding. You can't say that Dillian Whyte is washed up when Dillian Whyte's fight is who's done it the other way. He went on an 11-fight unbeaten streak under Jimmy, under like I said, Jim.
Mark
Tibbs?
Mark
Tibbs,
yeah.
Mark Tibbs. Under Mark Tibbs, he won an 11-fight unbeaten, right? And they weren't easy fights. They were all fights which got him into a number one position. You can't just discount that. You can't discount that. You can't discount that. And even when he fought, even when Dillian Whyte fought Povetkin, yes, the scoreline says knocked out. But was he beaten up from round 1 to 5? No, he wasn't. He was winning the fight, and he got careless and stupid and lackadaisical. Schoolboy error, got knocked out, but he avenged his defeat. He was able to regain his position as the interim champion. You know, where he got absolutely messed around by Tyson Fury. By rights, he should have had at least 40% of the purse. That's just a fact. Yeah, he ended up with less than 20 if he was lucky. But it was still a big payday for him. You know, let's not forget, him and Tyson Fury filled out Wembley Stadium. I know Joshua's done it a few times, but this is a good fighter. Doesn't matter whether people think he's finished or not. He beat Franklin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was cumbersome. It was slovenly, but he won. Did Franklin win the fight? Absolutely did not. Did he lose the game? Yeah, but he didn't win.
See, I was there for that fight, and I was one of the few people I was actually impressed with Dillian, because I thought he brought something new with Buddy McGirt. He used the new cross guard, and he was rolling and catching a lot of shots. Yeah, Franklin, he's got fast hands. It looks impressive, but I thought Dillian was catching most of them.
If you want to be thinking about Franklin, right? Franklin's a game fighter, but come on, the guy's a bloody cruiserweight. He's no heavyweight.
But based on that, the fact that they obviously Dillian and AJ have both fought Franklin, and there ain't much in it in terms of their performance against him if we're using him as a measuring stick.
Yeah, but if you look at both those fights when they fought Franklin, if you think for 1 minute you're going to get a new trainer who is trying to take you back to school, is trying to get you to do things that you've never wanted to do, that is in you, but they're not insisting you do that. I'm sorry, but those first fights under that new trainer are going to be situations where you work it out. You work out a way to win the fight within the new training program and new tactics you've been given. So those fights tend to end up with 12 round wins. You want to look at Boatsy. He changed trainers. Boatsy, is he with? Who's he with?
He's with Virgil Hunter, isn't he?
He's with Virgil Hunter. His first fight with Virgil Hunter, that was the same sort of thing. It was a chess match which they actually create themselves in a fight where they're trying to learn new techniques with a new trainers, and sometimes it don't come off. But you could see what they're trying to do, and they're trying. But sometimes what they do naturally worked with before has to be sort of married up into what they do. Sometimes it's not impressive, but 9 out of 10 times they are going to be boxing matches. They're not going to be slugfests. It's going to be boxing matches. Collier tried out his last 2 fights when he went with Sugar Hill, and he completely fluffed his lines because his brain was scrambled. What do I do now? I'm used to doing this, but my new trainer's trying to do that. Oh, by the way, bang, bang, you're out. And I think that's the situation. People look at Dillian Whyte. They want him to tear someone's head off. They want him to fight. They look at AJ and they want the devil in. They want him, AJ, to win in 3 rounds and go to the Sky Sports commentator and said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to have a training session afterwards because I trained for a 10-round fight. It was only 3 rounds and I'm not tired, so I need to go and train again." Those days are over. Those days are over.
Isn't it fair to say? Would you, as a fighter gets more mature, you almost expect them to, adjust their style. I mean, even a bad man from Brixton has got to chill out eventually.
Yeah, but the reason why they've got the new trainers, they've lost. They've lost. Even Callum Smith with Buddy McGirt, didn't he? He was with Joe Gallagher, but he's like he left Joe Gallagher because he lost against Canelo. So he had to readjust in what he said, and that's what happens. When you fight with new trainers. The sort of I said the goal, and maybe it's the sort of the Willy Wonka's golden ticket is a knockout. But you're trained also to learn how to, perfect your defense. As Dillian Whyte, the hand to stop the uppercut coming. AJ, foot, like I said, boxing, jab, and then creating angles, but doing the sweet science and the fundamentals. That's what happens to new trainers. Remember when Lennox Lewis left Pepe Correa and he went with Manny Stewart? His first few fights with Manny Stewart weren't great. He was learning.
Yeah. I
think what's happened with our boxing fans, they get frustrated because they don't like, they want their bangers to knock everyone out. It's not going to happen. This fight, I said to Lady Shannon, and she didn't agree with me. She thought like AJ, is she saying that AJ has to knock out Dillian Whyte? And I was saying, let him just win. And she agreed with me. But I'm saying she doesn't think that AJ's not going to try and box and move and find those angles and find the opportunities. He's not going to look to make a statement. He's going to look to perfect his craft because the end goal is Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. What he's learning with, like with his new trainers, is iron out those mistakes he made in those fights against Ruiz the first time and the mistakes that he made against Usyk, in order that he doesn't make those mistakes again, where he has to get himself in situations where he has to work the ankles, to be able to use his natural attributes. He can't just go in there and go bang, 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 bang. He has to be able to stitch the game plan, but to stitch the game plan, you've got to work on it and practice. I think the British fighting fans are going to be very disappointed if they think they're going to get a slugfest between 2 fighters. It might come, but I can't see it. They both got too much to lose.
So you're predicting probably a quite a technical chess game between these two.
I could see it happening. Because I think if there's opportunities for the both of them to take one out, they'll take it and they'll look for it, but they'll work it. But they ain't going to go swinging their heads off and bang, snarling like the first fight. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Dillian Whyte knows if he makes a mistake and leaves his chin open, Anthony Joshua hits the uppercut, it's over. So he's not going to make that mistake. He's going to, you don't go with Buddy McGirt to just ruin your hard work by just going, wham, boom. The same with AJ. Go in there and Dillian Whyte just uses his fundamentals, stays, gets the leverage, and then boom. Just when you're about to throw your right hand, he's quicker and gets the left hook in. There's situations where they are going to try and neutralise each other's strengths and find a way, and try and learn things. It's not going to be natural. It's not going to be pretty, but I think both fighters have got a lot to lose. I don't think AJ has, but maybe, he will lose to Dillian Whyte fight. Dillian Whyte, if he loses, that's it. Yeah. No more big paydays.
Tony Ellis just asked, does AJ Wilder happen next regardless of the outcome? And I don't think regardless. I think Eddie Hearn's already said if I think the Saudis have told him, if you lose to Whyte, the Wilder fight's off the table. So
because simple reason is that you can't. The reason why it's hard for the Saudis to take it on the table because the Saudis want the winner of AJ Wilder, if it happens, to fight Fury and Usyk, if it happens. He wants the winners to fight each other. And then, you know, so basically that's 2 semi-finals, then the final. You know, it's hard to have 2 semi-finals when you know, like where both the fighters have lost their quarterfinals. In essence, Dillian Whyte and AJ is a quarterfinal, whether fans like it or not. But Eddie Hearn's called it a quarterfinal, so AJ can't afford to lose. Don't go it. AJ, right? If he carries on, you know, and he still wants to fight, then he'll still make big money. But it's going to be a bit harder to get those sponsors on to come to the party, and it's the British public as well. You know, you know, it's hard. You know, a lot of these big names don't need to fight AJ. He's lost 4 times. Don't need him. You know what I mean? He wants to be in a situation where it makes financial sense to fight AJ, and they need him. That he's bringing something to the table.
Absolutely.
You know, I think his second fight with Usyk, you know, he lost the fight. It was a split decision. Some people think it shouldn't have been a split decision, but I think AJ got hurt, and but I think for me, I saw a lot of things I liked in that performance.
Yeah, me too. And I've made this point that AJ has shown, unlike his rivals, even at the age of 32, he can learn and improve. Yeah,
they're all athletes nowadays. They're all athletes. You got to remember that you know Joe Joyce, right? Is 5 years older than AJ, yet he hasn't got that experience because he's had a long amateur career. Zhang is 40. He hasn't even fought for a title. So, you know, what's happening now is that we're all athletes now because simple reason sports science, you know, is a situation where you have qualified nutritionists, qualified, you know, trainers who are all about body conditioning and diet, genuine diet, and you know, and supplements as well, if you must say so, which is dangerous for boxing. But what happens in careers will last. You cannot. Riddick Bowe will not survive in today's boxing with his indiscipline at the kitchen table. It's not happening. You know, you have to be an athlete now. If you're not an athlete, but if you're not an athlete, then I'm sorry. In modern day elite sport, you're not going to survive. No. The days of a fat cricketer are over. The days of a overweight boxer is over at the elite level. It's not happening. The days of a footballer who refuels and gets strikes over. Elite sport nowadays, with the amount of money involved, and you've got the Saudis offering even more money. If you want to, if you want to be elite, you want to fight in the elite circles, then you have to have an elite rig.
The atmosphere gets more rarefied. Just finishing on the AJ Whyte, you sticking to the prediction? AJ on points?
I think it'd go on points. I think it'd go on points or late stoppage. You know, late stoppage. But I can even put forward that, you know, if they do fight the way the public want them to fight, and Dillian Whyte as a slightly better defence, then you know, don't be surprised if both of them touch the canvas. But you know, AJ with his probably experience and probably like better boxing skills will stop him eventually because the AJ's punches will probably take its toll on Whyte. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a points win for AJ.
Yeah, as you said, they've both got things to work on, and this is the perfect fight to, as you said, for the end game. All right, I mean, and just finally, that other big heavyweight fight coming up in about 6 weeks. Of course, the press conference was announced this week.
You know what? I'm angry with the British public. I'm very angry with them. You know why I'm angry? We've got a British fighter fighting for the world heavyweight champion, and yet a non-title fight between two London fighters who fought twice is getting more coverage than that. A WBC champion fighting a huge UFC fighter who's come back from injury, that's getting more title fight. I think it's a disgrace. I think the British public should be ashamed of themselves. One of your own is fighting for the world heavyweight champion, world heavyweight title, and he's got a possibility of getting 3 belts. 3 belts. He's a bigger man. He hasn't got the experience yet. You're not even backing the kid. If you're a boxing fan, you'll know about a press conference. You'll know when the fight is. You'll know the fight is on TNT on the 26th of August, and you'll know whether you've got to pay per pay-per-view, and you know what time the fight's going to start. But if you're a casual, you should be all over this fight because a British fighter's fighting for the world heavyweight title. Yet we're more excited about what people in boxing terms are has-beens. Yeah. People may say Dillian Whyte's an has-been, and they could say that AJ's an has-been. And you've got Tyson Fury, who basically is making himself into boxing's biggest never was, or boxing's biggest, chameleon. Yet, because of their reputations and what they've done, this guy is not getting any kind of recognition. What's the problem? What is Frank Warren doing? Why is Frank Warren even talking about Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury when he's got his own fighter fighting Usyk in Poland for a massive fight? What is Martin Bowers doing? He's still his manager. He's not his trainer, he's a manager. What's going on? Why is this not getting promoted? I repeat, a British fighter is fighting for the world heavyweight champion, where he's got a chance of winning 3 belts, which is a step closer to the undisputed, and no one cares.
Do you think there's almost people are going almost overboard with Usyk? I've been trying to make this point that his skills are undoubted, but he's not Superman, and as it stands,
he's not Superman. The reason why people go overboard with that is this, because, like I said, when you talk about elite fighters, one of the reasons why I think fighters are elite is where you're able to negate the strengths, your opponent's strengths. You're able to work your way into the fight and work out your opponent whilst you're fighting them. That's harder to do than watch it on video. It's a harder thing to do. And there's only a few fighters could do that, and he's one of them. Andre Ward could do it. We know Marvin Hagler was able to do it. We know Mayweather was able to do it. And we know Canelo could do it. So in 150 years of boxing, there's only 5 fighters I've named. And Usyk's one of them. So you look at Usyk's attributes. You look at the fact he's a cruiserweight. But he was able to go to Anthony Joshua, meet in the centre of the ring, and outwork him. When he's not the bigger man, he's the smaller man. But he was able to do that. That's not a disgrace to Anthony Joshua. That's more in praise of Usyk. So that's why people do big up Usyk, because regardless of people saying, if Usyk fights Tyson Fury, or Tyson Fury's too big for him, he's going to sit on top of him. I don't think Usyk's going to tolerate that. He's going to he's going to expect Tyson Fury to do it, because he's going to be prepared for 2 Tyson Furies. The Tyson Fury that fought Klitschko and the Tyson Fury that fights under Sugar Hill.
Yeah.
And he'll work it out during the ring. And that's why I think people do praise Usyk. But I can see where you're coming from. Why is this 6'3" cruiserweight, the overwhelming favourite whoever he fights, other than Tyson Fury? I get where you come from. But I think if you watch the performances in those 2 fights against Joshua, I think that the answer's there.
Do you think Dubois, because he's got the recklessness of youth still, that actually could help him more? Because, when you're young and reckless, you won't think too much about what the other guy's doing. Does that give him more of a chance than, say, the AJ, who
You know the thing
try.
with Dubois. You know the thing with Dan Dubois. You want me to tell you the truth about Dan Dubois? He's got all the attributes to be a top heavyweight and an all-time great. He's got it.
Mhm,
He's more of a natural fighter than natural boxer than all of them.
mhm,
Technically correct. But the problem with Dan Dubois is one of those people. I don't think he's at the stage where he can work out for himself. He looks
mhm,
like he needs a guidance. He needs someone to tell him what to do. You know, the Joseph Joyce's fight said a lot where he needed guidance and able to avoid a jab. And don't get me wrong, it was a great jab, but you've got the feeling that mentally it was a case of what do I do now? How do I
mm,
stop it? He wasn't able to work out for himself. You know, he was making mistake after mistake where the eye got targeted. There was no head movement. Don't get me wrong, Joe Joyce made the same mistake when he fought Zhang. You know, where Joe Joyce thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna knacker him out, and then my fitness, boom, 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 I'm gonna look at. Didn't happen. Zhang was throwing straight punches. When you throw straight punches are hard to avoid than a hook. You don't see straight punches coming. You can see a hook coming. You can see, you know, you can see an uppercut coming to a certain extent because you can do that, can't you? But a straight
mhm.
punch, if it's accurate, it can go through your guard. You know what I mean? And I think that's the situation with Daniel Dubois, and that's why I do have concerns about him at an elite level. Is he mature enough to work out for himself when he faces adversity in the ring? We've seen it
Mm.
once. And he wasn't able to do that. He's going to face a lot of adversity within the fight. Would he be able to deal with that himself and work out himself?
Mhm.
Which
I think
AJ
it's
was. I think AJ was able to do that, but Usyk just had a bit too much for him in both fights. But I don't see Daniel Dubois doing that. Maybe, you know, maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I look at the character, I look at a shy kid and blah blah. But what I saw with Joe Joyce didn't fill me with any like confidence.
you saying that you're going with the conventional thinking here that this is pretty much a straightforward win for Usyk.
At the moment, yes, because I don't see where Daniel Dubois is going to be able to. How is he going to deal with What's he going to do if when Usyk takes surprise and tries to take the centre of the ring? Is he going to be able to do it? Is his defence going to be able to cope with that? Is his defence going to be able to cope with Usyk trying to fight at certain angles? Is his defence going to be is he going to be able to cope with Usyk turning him and forcing Daniel Dubois to fight in angles where he's not getting clean shots? How's Daniel Dubois going to get Usyk in a situation where he can get his shots off and get them off clean? You know, these are massive things that Daniel Dubois got to work out because, you know, we know what he can do, but Usyk's not going to be a sitting target. And if he's a sitting target, he'll be in a situation where he's going to defend, but whilst he's defending, he's still going to throw punches, scoring punches against you. So that's something you've got. It's the southpaw stance as well. You know, is he going to be able to get in a situation where when Usyk's trying to fight the southpaw, is he going to get to Usyk's, like I said, right hand side rather than stand in front of his left because he wants to get his right hand going? Is he going to have a situation where he's going to have to get Usyk to punch across him and then come in? These are things that, Daniel Dubois got to work out, and that's why people think that matches him. If you ask me now, I probably think it's too early for Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he beat Brian means that he's accelerated into that fight. And let's face it, Tyson Fury don't want to fight him, does he? That isn't going to fight him. So Usyk, and he's the mandatory. So there's as much as I think it's too early for Daniel. He's got to, if someone's offering you the Willy Wonka golden ticket, you take the Willy Wonka golden ticket like Charlie did. You have to.
Absolutely, you better believe it.
Only if you watch Charlie at the Chocolate Factory, only was it how many kids? 6 kids got the ticket in the chocolate bar.
Yeah,
that's once in a lifetime, and I think that's the thing with Dan Dubois. But the fact is that he's got 6 weeks because it's going to be the biggest fight of his life, and the way the boxing is now, Youth is on his side, but he's gonna have to be frustrated to get that chance, and you know, so he's got to have a situation where it's now or never to Daniel. He's got to think now or never, but he's got to find a way to not only stop Usyk for frustrating him. He's got to find a way to get those punches off, get those body punches off. He's got speed. He's got speed of hand and foot, but he's got to be able to deal with adversity in the ring, because there's going to be a lot of adversity. There's going to be a lot of frustration. Remember, you know, I don't think it should bother him that the crowd are going to be always Usyk. Poland is like basically like the biggest sympathiser towards Ukraine, other than the United Kingdom, our country.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a pro-Usyk crowd. He's got, you know, that should be water of the duck's back, but it could intimidate him. But whatever he has to do, if you do get Usyk in trouble, keep the, as I say in sporting terms, if the foot is on the throat, don't let the foot come. Don't let keep the foot on the windpipe. Yeah, that's his best chance of winning. He's not going to win. He's not going to win on a boxing match on points unless he's getting 10-8 rounds.
Indeed. Well, I'll be going to the press conference on Thursday, so look out for my content on Punch Out Boxing.
I will.
And I've booked my flights to Wrocław, so I'm hoping to go to the fight.
Well, it's great. You know, it's great. You might have to. You might miss Tottenham losing. We got Fulham that game, so it's a case of watching the Arsenal game and rush out to buy it, because you know Daniel Dubois needs British support. I repeat, a British fighter, a prospect, is fighting for the world heavyweight title, and no one cares.
Yeah, you're right. We do need to get behind him.
You know, I hate to break it to a lot of people in this country, but you know, it's not Tyson Fury, it's not just Dillian Whyte, it's not just AJ. You know, it's Dan Dubois as well. He's a big fighter as well. You know, Joe Joyce is. People seem to forget with Dan Dubois that, you know, he had a carefully managed career. He's beating fighters out there, knocking them out. And then he fought Joe Joyce. Again, was it too early? Well, as long as UFC is around, you're gonna find that boxers are probably going to be elevated to the big fights because the public demand it. Boxing fans now, especially the casuals, they want the biggest fights out there. They're like what I call young people watch YouTube. You know, young people love YouTube, but they want it to be fun. They want to be interested, and then the next generation after them wants to be interested. So you know that's why you're going to see people. You know, casual boxing fans don't want to see fighters protect their O's, their unbeaten runs.
Indeed. Ken, before we wrap up for the night, just a few goings on in the boxing world. Wanted your views on quickly. Biggest, I mean, it's a massive summer. 2 huge, high quality fights. Got Fulton going over Japan to fight Inoue. Don't get many Americans leave their shores, so kudos to him.
That is massive. You have to say that Inoue is a red hot favourite there.
But you've got to give kudos to. I just wonder though, you know, down at those weight classes, bantamweights and what have you, there's not many classic Afro-American boxer punchers. So Fulton brings a style that Inoue would never have seen.
Oh, definitely so. And I think you're right. There isn't that many at that weight. But again, it just shows you the situation where boxing in the USA, normally, Inoue would be coming up to the United States. But it's the United States the mecca of boxing anymore. For certain weights, it is. But not at that weight. But yeah, I think Inoue is the hot favourite in that fight.
All right. But one division which is still very much American, welterweight at last, undisputed. Spence v. Crawford, as we were saying off camera, it's the highest level fight probably for 40 years, probably since Hagler and Leonard.
You,
Would you say?
it's interesting to talk about that fight, because when I talked about those elite fighters, people can say Bud Crawford belongs in there because Bud Crawford was another fighter who works an opponent out and works it out during a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone looks at Spence. Yeah, they say he's flat-footed. He's had a few injuries towards his retina. He had the car crash, but he's an elite champion, better counter fighter than Crawford, one of the best counter fighters out there. His strength is counter punching. You know, Crawford is able to deal with counter punches, but would he be able to deal with that counter puncher? And that's the interesting thing about it. Everyone you speak to will have Bud Crawford winning that, even by late stoppage, because of Brad Crawford's attributes. But Spence is an elite champion as well,
Mm-hmm.
an elite champion, and you know it's one of the things where it's going to be Spence's hardest fight against Bud Crawford. But Bud Crawford, again, it's another opportunity to see if he can work it out, because you know, is he going to be able to outwork Spence inside? I think he can.
Mm.
I think he probably will. But it's interesting because this is Spence's. He is a counter puncher. You know, if you want to go back as far as the, you know, like as you know, if you want to go as far back as early fights, that's what what he had. Kell Brook fight in Sheffield. That was a classic counter punch. Everyone counter attacking fight where Kell Brook went in there, said he's going to put his brownies in he's going to get his brownies ready in the ovens. Spence said, "What's a chocolate brownie?" It was his fists. Said, "Come on." Went to centre ring and he got counter punched, and out strength. Another thing as well with Spence is quite big at the weight, isn't he?
He's a huge welterweight.
Again, that's another situation where again it's the work rate. One thing we know Bud can do. He's a brilliant switch hitter. Brilliant.
Yeah.
There's certain times when you look at Bud, you think, "Whoa, is he a southpaw?" He isn't, but he can fight southpaw. And that's the beauty of the fight. If someone said, "Can you if you were to put your month's wages on the fight?" I'll go Bud Crawford all day long, but you could lose your month's wages because Spence is elite.
You know what? In the build up to this, all the talk over the years, I've been so high on Crawford, but just looking at Spence, the way he's talking, I don't know. He's just got a quiet confidence about him. I think I've switched.
That's what sells the fight. That's one of the things that sells the fight is the confidence in the confidence of the fighters. You know, the fact is that elite fighters, are good and are elite because they're able to beat other elite fighters. We had a fight in only a few weeks ago in Madison Square Garden with Lopez and Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor. Everyone assumed Josh Taylor, the bigger man, was going to go there and he was going to be a late stoppage. But people, because they went on the Teofimo Lopez, not on his last few performances, because Teofimo Lopez tried to knock people's heads off. They forgot that Teofimo Lopez could box.
Mm-hmm.
He outboxed from the fourth round. Not only did he outbox Josh Taylor, he beat him up. John Taylor was ready to go in the 11th and 12th. And that's the thing. And that's the thing about it. Josh Taylor's an elite fighter. He's one of, he's unified, like I said, he's unified his division, but another fighter who people wrote off but has got elite attributes, beat him. The same thing with, Lomachenko. A lot of people say he's elite, but if you look at his fight and you watch the Devin Haney fight again, you watch it the first time, you look at Lomachenko coming forward, Devin Haney, you think Lomachenko won the fight, but you watch it the second time, you can see why the judges gave it to Haney.
Mm-hmm.
Both great fighters, both brilliant fighters, you know. But just one thing about it is that good fighters can beat another good fighter. You know, the way Bob Arum was talking about Lomachenko, you would have thought that, you know, that you know they'll make him a Hall of Famer before he retired. But he lost to Timofimo and he lost to Haney.
Indeed.
And they'll clear defeats. Remember, he lost an earlier fight as well when his experience cost him.
Exactly.
So is Lomachenko no longer elite? For me, he's got the best technique of any fighter in the world at the moment.
Absolutely. And he could, I still wouldn't put it past him beating some of the other top guys like Tank or Shakur. He could beat them. But Kenny, we've had an hour, a good hour. We've both got to go to work tomorrow, so I think we'll wrap it up there. Anything you want to add?
I just what I want to add is that I think the best way, but British boxing isn't dead.
Mm-hmm.
But what's going to happen is that we're having a situation where we don't want overload. We want good fights on. Boxer need to pull their socks up. You know, like I said, you know, you've got a lot hard act to follow with Matchroom. It's not good getting Matchroom fighters and them not getting the fights. You know, they didn't leave Matchroom. You know, they got this big. You've got this big platform, but you know, the platform's there. You've got to put the fights on. You've got to put the fights on. At the moment,
absolutely.
At the moment, your most successful, you know, operation in terms of like event was the women's event. Now that's brilliant for women's boxing, but in terms of what Sky paid you for, they didn't pay for you for your biggest, most successful event to be the women's event in October. You've got to do better than that. You know what I mean? Got to do better. Those two pay-per-views with Chris Eubank, those fights with Chris Eubank during Liam Smith, you know, Brooke and Khan, great build-ups, but didn't really do much to tickle the fancies of the. It weren't success stories for me. So you got to get better, do better.
Indeed. So Boxer pull out all the stops, and also so did Queensbury and Matchroom. We can't get any.
You know, Boatsy. What do you think of the fight between Boatsy and Aziz? It's brilliant for Aziz. Yeah. Is it good for Boatsy?
And especially if they're going to have it in Brighton, as they're talking about.
Well, Aziz wins this. If Aziz wins this, this is massive. Boatsy, bit of a little step backwards because, you know, he turned down a fight with Bivol.
Yeah. Yeah. Never a good look. All right, Ken, listen. We'll call it a night there.
I enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Too.
You know, raw. You know, one thing I will say: non-boxing. There's something about Ange. I don't know what is about Ange Postecoglou, but there's something about it, and there's something I like about that man. I respect him. I respect the story. And the worst thing about it is, I'm not ruling it out because when people listen to Ange, he's usually successful. But the thing about it is that Spurs fans don't want an experiment; they want success yesterday. Is success winning the trophy for Spurs or getting the top four? You're a Spurs fan. I'm not.
For me, it's top four. Yeah.
Then what happens after you get the top four? Do you try to win the title, or you just get the top four every year? Can we try that Arsenal? Doesn't normally work, does it?
True. You did it for a good 12 years with Wenger, and it.
We ended up getting a sack because we got enough of him.
Too many top four finishes. Yeah, you've given me food for thought. As fans, we probably need to decide what we really want. All right, Ken, absolute pleasure. We'll do this again. Have a good night.
Said, let's not forget, right? Before they never used to fight in August, and they never used to fight in January. That was when we had a break. But because of these promoters, there's no break of boxing, which means there's always something to talk about.
Exactly. We're gonna have a busy summer. All right, Ken. Have a good night, and we'll see you next.
Have a good night as well.
It's another bang.